Welcome to a video tutorial on the ChartMaker PatientPortal for administrators. In this video, we will cover topics such as registering a patient for the portal, how to suspend clinical summary exports, how to customize your portal as an administrator, and how messaging on the portal works. But before we get into that, let's discuss what a patient portal is and why you need one. By definition, a patient portal is an online application that displays individual patient health information in a secure manner through the internet. It will allow the patient to interact and communicate with their healthcare professionals, including private practice physicians and hospitals, at any time of the day. Every patient portal will be different and will provide different features. STI's patient portal will allow your patients to view demographic and patient history information, as well as send your practice updates regarding this information. The portal will also allow your patients to communicate with your office via a secure messaging module, view educational materials, clinical summaries, or labs. And as time goes on, we will be adding additional features to enhance the patient portal as well. So why do you need a patient portal? Beyond the efficiency and convenience for your patients, you will also need to implement a patient portal for meaningful use purposes. Both Stage 1 and Stage 2 have measures related to patient portal usage. In Stage 1 and 2, the View, Download, Transmit measure requires you to have a patient portal. Additionally, in Stage 2, you will also need the patient portal to fulfill the core measure for secure messaging. If you are interested in using STI's patient portal, please go to the enrollments page on sticomputer.com and fill out the registration form. Someone from STI will then contact you about your next steps. Your practice will need to be set up and trained on the patient portal prior to using it. Now that you know what a patient portal is and why you need one, let's look at how the ChartMaker patient portal will work for you. First, you will want to become familiar with where to find the patient portal options from within our software. If you are in Practice Manager, the patient portal options are accessed on the Patient tab. If you are in Clinical, the patient portal options are located below the face sheet in the Patient's chart. If you are in Practice Manager and the text on this button is grayed out, this tells you that your practice has not yet been set up to use the patient portal, and you will have to contact software support. If the button is gray, however, the words on the button are black, this means the patient has not yet been registered. If the button is yellow, the patient's registration is pending. If the button is green, the patient has completed registration. If the button is red, the clinical summary export has been suspended. The colors and their definitions hold true in either Practice Manager or Clinical. So to recap, if the button is completely grayed out, then you are not set up for the patient portal yet, and you must enroll through our website. If the button is gray but the words are black, then the patient has not been registered. Yellow means the registration is pending, green means the registration has been completed, and red means their data export has been suspended. Let's start out at the beginning with how to register your patients for access to the patient portal. The registration process is done individually by patient in Practice Manager on the Patient tab. Please keep in mind that you can only register patients through Practice Manager. Clinical will allow you to do other functions regarding the patient portal, but you will not be able to register the patient through there. So within Practice Manager, you will first look up your patient. Then check to see if you have an email address documented for this patient. An email address is not required in order to register the patient as of ChartMaker version 2015. However, it will make the process easier for the patient. If we do not have an email address documented at the time of authorization, an instructional handout will be printed and should be given to the patient so they can register at a later date. If we do have an email address on file, a reminder email will be sent to the patient immediately upon authorization. That email will contain a link that the patient will then click on to complete the registration process. I'll show you what will happen in both situations with and without an email present. So if you would like to authorize the patient but do not have the patient's email address on file, click the Patient Portal button. You will see only one Authorize option available, with the reminder to the left that this Authorize option will print instructions for the patient. Click Authorize, and then Yes to continue. After clicking OK and Save on the patient's account, instructions will print to your default printer. You should then give those instructions to your patient. Now let's look at what will happen when you do have an email address on file. After confirming the patient's email, click the Patient Portal button. You will notice you now have two Authorize options. To register your patient and have an email sent to them, click the first Authorize button. You will still have the option to manually print instructions. However, it is not necessary to do both for an individual patient. If you do happen to click both Authorize buttons prior to clicking OK and closing this dialog, whichever option you selected last is the one the software will recognize. If you happen to authorize the patient via email and you also printed instructions, and the patient attempts to register both ways, they will be prompted at the second attempt that they already have an account. So it is completely possible to do both email and printed instructions. However, doing both may confuse the patient. As a general rule, you will probably want to do one or the other for an individual patient. So back to our example. We have an email address on file, so we'd like to authorize this patient via that option. So we will click the first Authorize button, and then Yes to continue. You will notice that the registration status will now display as pending. Click OK to finalize the process. After clicking either of the Authorize options, the Patient Portal button will now be yellow, which means the registration is pending. Once you click Save on the patient's account, an email will then be sent to the email address on file for that patient. The email will look similar to this. Once the patient receives this email, they will then need to click on the link in order to complete the registration process. For the View, Download, Transmit Meaningful Use measure, your practice will receive credit for the measure when you click Authorize. The patient doesn't necessarily need to complete the registration process for you to receive credit. One of the benefits of using the Patient Portal is that once a progress note is signed, Clinical will automatically send the patient's clinical summary to the portal. This is a great feature as it will eliminate the manual need of someone on your staff to do so. However, we realize that on some occasions you may not want the patient's information to upload before you have a chance to talk to them about their prognosis. And for this, we've added the ability to suspend the export of clinical data. To do so, open the patient in either Practice Manager or Clinical and click the Patient Portal button. Check the box for Suspend Export on Note Signing and click OK. You will then notice the button turn red. This will be your visual indication that clinical information will not be sent to the patient portal for this patient. When you are ready for information to go automatically again, you will go back into the patient portal button and uncheck Suspend Export on Note Signing, and then OK. This will turn the button back to its original color, yellow if registration is still pending, or green if registration has been completed. So to recap, if you do not want the clinical data to automatically go to the patient's portal upon note signing in either Practice Manager or Clinical, check the box for Suspend Export on Note Signing. Logging into the patient portal is a simple process. STI's patient portal is accessed through the internet by going to ChartMaker PatientPortal.com. Both practice administrators and patients will use this address to access the patient portal. Once at the logon screen, you will enter your username and password. If you are a practice administrator, this was given to you by software support at the time of setup. Please remember that this is not your login to Practice Manager or Clinical. This is a separate login specific to the patient portal administration site. Each practice will receive one predefined username and password to the patient portal. Individual patients will create their own username and password during the registration process, which is completed by them clicking on the link that they receive in their email. If you or a patient forgets your password, you can click Forgot Password to start the process of resetting it. If you would like the computer to remember your login credentials so that you do not have to enter them every time, then click Remember Me. This is only a good idea if the computer you are using is private and not used by other staff members. To log in, enter your username and password and click Sign In. Once logged into the patient portal, for security purposes, if you are idle for 10 minutes, you will receive an inactivity timeout warning, like you are seeing here. You will have 1 minute to respond to this warning before the system will automatically log you out. If you do not respond in time and are automatically logged out, your browser will revert back to the login page to allow you to log in again. This setting is to ensure privacy and protection of patient information and cannot be changed by your administrator. To manually log out of the patient portal, click Sign Out in the upper right-hand corner. Now let's talk about actually using the patient portal as an administrator. When you first log into the portal as an administrator, you will be taken to the home page. This page will display any applicable notifications regarding necessary maintenance to your portal. Notifications you may see here could include whether your portal is currently in maintenance mode, whether STI plans on doing maintenance on the portal, meaning that you may not have access for a short amount of time, or if you do not have any providers listed with an NPI attached. Currently, these are the main examples of notifications you may see here. However, it is possible that we may expand the options in the future. The Patients page is a section where your administrator can go to manage the registered patients and patient representatives on your portal. The default view on the Patients page will display a list of all the registered patients on your portal. Likewise, you could also click on Patient Representatives from the left to view a list of people that are logging into the portal on behalf of one of your patients. All of the functionality that I will discuss in regard to the patient is the same for patient representatives. When viewing either your patient or patient representative list, you will be able to see some of the user's demographic information, such as their name, account number, and date of birth. You will also be able to see the username that they created upon registration. This is the username that the patient will use to log into the patient portal. Please keep in mind that spaces are allowed in a username, so if the patient is having trouble remembering their username and you come here to find it, remember to read it back to them exactly how it appears on the screen. Usernames are not case sensitive, however. The email address listed is the email that the patient used to register the account. This is where any communication regarding their patient portal account will be sent. If the patient would like to change this email, they will need to log into their account and click My Account to do so. This will be demoed later on in this video tutorial. Lastly, administrators will have the ability to reset the patient's password if necessary by clicking Reset Password. If this option is selected, an email will be sent to the patient with their new system-generated temporary password. Immediately upon logging in with this password, it will then prompt the patient to change this temporary password to something more permanent. Also on this page, the administrator will have the option to send broadcast messages to all registered patients and patient representatives by clicking the Announcements link on the left. You will simply type the subject and the message to be sent to your patients and click Send. You could use this functionality to send information regarding use of the patient portal, general office news, or health-related information. Just keep in mind that this message will go to all of your registered patient portal users. We do not have the ability to send a message to an individual patient or patient representative from this page. The Documents page is a section where your administrator can go to upload documents for your patients to access. This could include educational materials, registration or consent forms, instructional handouts, or anything of your choosing. The documents you upload here will be accessed by any registered patient portal user, so please keep in mind that you should not upload patient-specific information on here. The documents that you upload here can only be viewed, printed, or saved to their computer. The patient will not have the ability to fill out or sign a form through here and send it back to your office. You are only permitted to upload documents that are PDFs, text files, or Word documents. You cannot upload files that are images or spreadsheets. Your account comes with 10 megabytes of storage space by default. Additional space can be added for a fee by contacting software support. You will see the available amount of space displayed in the upper left-hand corner of this page. The documents can be organized by category and then a subcategory if preferred to make reading the list of documents easier. The patient portal that I am using currently has 2 categories already set up. If I click on one of the categories on the left, I will see the list of documents that are visible under this category to the right. Now let's walk through the steps of adding a new category and documents. You will start by clicking Add Category from the left side of the screen. Type the category name and description. The category name is what will appear in the navigation pane on the left side of the screen. The description will be displayed on the page for the patient to see. If you need to give additional instructions regarding a certain document, this could be the area to do so. The description is not a required field. Click Save when you are done. You will now see your new category on the left and a preview of the page the patient will see on the right. To upload a document to this category, click the arrow icon on the right side of the screen. Select your file by clicking Choose File. Browse to the correct location, highlight the file, and click Open. Then enter a name for this document in the Display Name field. This is what will be displayed to the patient. The description field is once again optional, but will be visible under the display name if something is entered here. Click Save when you are done. If you would like to upload additional documents, click the arrow again. I will upload another document so that you can see what multiple documents on a page will look like. If you would like to delete a document, click the X icon next to the applicable document. If you would like to edit the document properties, click the pencil icon next to the applicable document. From here, you will be able to modify the display name or the description. If you need to modify the actual file, then you must delete and re-add the document again. You will not have the option to modify the file from the Edit dialog. If you would like to change the order of the documents, you will use the double arrow next to the document name to do so. Simply click on the double arrow and drag the document to where you would like it to go. To add a subcategory to this section for additional organization of files, click Add New Subcategory. Enter the subcategory name and click Save. To upload a file to this subcategory, click the arrow icon to the right of that subcategory and browse out to select the file like we did before. If you have multiple subcategories, you can modify the order of them by clicking Reorder Subcategories at the bottom of this page. To modify the order of the categories, click Reorder Categories from the left navigation pane. This will be done in the same manner as the documents, which is by clicking and dragging using the double arrows. The Settings page is a section where the administrator will go to change additional configurations for your patient portal. The different areas that can be configured are listed in the navigation pane on the left. The default page that is displayed when you first navigate to Settings is a list of the general options. The first configuration that you can set is the practice title. This is the text that will appear at the top of the web page. Then you have the ability to add a practice logo by clicking Choose File and then browsing out to select an image file located on your computer. This image will be displayed to the left of your practice title at the top of the screen. In order to customize the look and feel of the patient portal, we added the option to change the theme. Click the drop-down under Portal Theme to change the color configuration for the portal. You will have 13 options to select from. You will see the change take place immediately after clicking Save. Next, you have the Patient Data Delay configuration. This configuration regulates how often demographic changes made by the patient are sent to the administrator. Every time the patient makes a change on the patient portal and clicks Save, they will receive a message informing them that they have unsent changes and asks if they would like to send them now. Since a patient could potentially click Send Now several times throughout the process of updating their information, we added this configuration so that the administrator will not be inundated with too many messages. The portal will wait until the configured interval set here and then batch the information it has received for the patient prior to sending it to the administrator. The default interval is set to 30 minutes. However, you could change it to be something less, like 5 or 10. And lastly, here on the general page, we have the option for enabling maintenance mode. If the checkbox next to enable maintenance mode is selected, patients will not be able to log into the patient portal. This was added in case you are making changes to the portal and you do not want the patients logging in until you are done. You can check enable maintenance mode when you start making changes, and then uncheck it when you are finished. If you make changes to any of the configurations on this page, please remember to click Save to commit to those changes before navigating to another page. In order to change the home page message, click Welcome Message on the left of the screen. From here, you will be able to modify and preview the text that will appear to the patient on the home page upon login. You can embed links, images, or modify the font of the text if you have some basic HTML knowledge. Otherwise, the message will appear in plain text format. If you would like to see what the patient will see, then click Preview. This will launch a separate dialog giving you a look at what they will see. Remember to click Save if you have made any changes. The next option on the left is Practice Locations. This is where you will set up your default location as well as any additional offices your practice may have. The information configured in here will be available to the patient through a Practice Locations link located at the bottom of the web page. The Practice Locations link is not visible for administrators, only patients. To add a new location, click Add Practice Location. Then fill in the applicable information. Address, city, state, zip, and phone are required fields. Location name and description are optional. The description field will be displayed below the address information, so you could use this field to provide additional information about the location, such as which services are performed or which providers practice here. If this is your primary location, click the checkbox at the bottom. And remember, click Save when you are done. To edit an existing location, click the pencil icon. To delete a location, click the X icon. If you would like to modify the order in which the locations will appear, click the arrow to the left of the location name and drag and drop it to the desired position. To see what the Practice Locations link will look like to the patient, click Preview, and a preview dialog will appear. The last option on this page is the option to configure the header information. This dialog will pull the information from your primary location and gives you the option to select which information you would like to appear at the top of the Patient Portal website. Click the checkbox for the items that you do want to display and click Save. You will immediately see the changes take effect. Next is Provider List. Click the link from the left side of the page to modify the list of providers for your practice. The list you create here will be available to the patient when sending secure messages. To add a new provider, click Add Provider. Both the provider name and NPI are required fields. Click Save when you are done. To modify the name or NPI for an existing provider, click the pencil icon. To delete a provider from the list, click the X icon, and yes to confirm. In order to modify the instructional text that is displayed when patients are on the message dialog, click Message Settings from the left side of the screen. Whenever a patient goes to send a message, they will have the option to select from 5 different types of messages: appointment or refill requests, billing or health questions, or a general message. Your practice will have the option to give the patient a description of what each category should be used for and any rules pertaining to it. For example, if you prefer the patient to call your office for appointment requests within 48 hours instead of 24, you could change the text under appointment requests to reflect that. If you make a change to the text and then later decide that you do not want to keep those changes, click the downward-facing arrow icon to restore the default text. To preview what this page will look like for the patient, click Preview. When you are finished, remember to click Save. And lastly, under the Settings menu is the option for Patient Terms of Use. From this page, you will be able to modify the text for the authorization agreement that is presented to the patient upon their initial login to the patient portal. The patient must accept these terms in order to be granted access to the patient portal. The patient portal will come with a generic authorization agreement that can be customized for your practice. Your administrator must designate that you have accepted this authorization agreement by checking the box next to "I accept responsibility for the patient authorization agreement provided below." If this box is not checked, the patient portal will be put into maintenance mode and your patients will not be able to log in. Likewise, the administrator will not be able to make any other configuration changes until this box is selected. Remember to click Save if you have made any changes to this page. The last area for maintenance is the My Account area. This section will be the same for all users, whether you are an administrator or a patient. This is where you will go if you need to change your email or password associated with your account. A valid email is not required for administrator accounts. However, they are required for patient accounts. To change the email, enter the updated email address in the New Email field and click Change Email. To change the password, enter your current password, the updated password in both the New Password and Confirm New Password fields, and then click Change Password. After clicking Change, you will receive a confirmation message, and then if you said yes to confirm the change, an email will be sent to the user as well. And finally, let's talk about messaging. The patient has the ability to send messages to your practice through the Messages page on the patient portal. This is a page that only patients see, not administrators. Messaging will be important if you are in stage 2 of meaningful use, as there is a required measure to use secure electronic messaging to communicate with more than 5% of the unique patients seen during the reporting period. The messages sent from the patient portal will go to the to-do list for the configured recipients. To configure who will receive the messages, you will need to open the message dialog in either Practice Manager or Clinical. To modify your distribution list, go to To-Do, New Message/Task. Then click To to get to the distribution lists. Distribution lists will always be bolded. You will see a distribution list for each type of message that the patient can send to your practice: appointment requests, billing questions, etc. To modify the users contained in one of these lists, highlight the appropriate list and click Edit. Then make sure the check mark is in the box next to the person's name that you would like to receive these types of messages. When you are done, click Save. If you need to modify any other distribution lists, you may do so at this time. Otherwise, click Cancel twice to close the message dialog. We only needed that message dialog in order to access the distribution lists. Now let's go back to the portal and see what happens when the patient submits a message. Keep in mind we are logged in as a patient and not an administrator. The patient will click the Messages menu from the top and then Send a Message from the left. Then they will select what type of message they'd like to send. We'll pick Appointment Request for now. From here, they will first select which provider they normally see. Remember, the list they see here comes from the list of providers that you set up on the administration side of the portal. Then they will enter their contact information for where they'd like to be reached and their message. Once they are done, they will click Send. That message will then be sent to the to-do list for all the recipients on the distribution list. They will also have a copy of it in their Sent Items folder located on the left. The amount of time that it takes the message to get to your to-do list is dependent upon the patient data delay setting that we discussed earlier. Now let's go to Clinical, or we could also go to Practice Manager, to see what the message will look like on your end. After the configured amount of time for the data delay has passed, you will see the patient's message show up on your to-do list, like we're seeing here. You will know that this message was sent from the patient portal because you will see Portal displayed in the From column. You will also see which provider they selected in the message dialog displayed in the subject of the message. You will have an idea of what the message is in regards to because you will see the message type in the Type column. And finally, you will know which patient this message is from because their name will be displayed in the Patient column. If you click on the message once, you will see a preview of the message at the bottom of the screen. To address the message, double-click on the reminder. If you simply want to get rid of this message without doing anything further, click Delete. If you would like to respond to the patient, click Reply. If you would like to save this message in the patient's chart without responding to it, select the Yes and Sign radio button and then click Save. For demonstrative purposes, let's go through an example of replying to the patient to see what happens. So first I'll click Reply and then type my response and then click Send. You will notice that the message disappears from your to-do list now that you have addressed it. Likewise, it will also disappear from everyone else's to-do list that received that message. Therefore, you do not need to worry about duplication of effort. Now let's go back to the patient portal and see what your response looks like to the patient. First of all, if they are on the home page, they will see that they have a notification of one unread message. They could either click the 1 to access that message, or they can click on the Messages menu at the top. Their most recent message will always be at the top of the list. Once they have selected the message to read, on the right they will see your response along with their original message, just like they would in an email. They will have the option to open, print, or delete this message by clicking the corresponding option from the top. If they feel the need to respond back to your office, they will need to click on Send a Message again. They will not have the option to reply back to you from their original message. If the patient would like to see a history of all the messages they sent to your office, they can click Sent Items, and then this will display a list of all the messages they have sent to you. From here, they could print or delete the message if so desired. That concludes our course on the ChartMaker Patient Portal for administrators. If you have any questions about anything covered in this course, you may refer to our website, sticomputer.com, or call customer support at 1-800-487-9135. Please remember to follow or like us on Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn to stay on top of the latest information regarding our software and the EMR industry.